We're back. Happy Monday, everybody. Yeah, you'll get through it. It's early. I know it's Monday. We'll be okay. Let's go. I'm giving you a hug. I'm giving everybody a group hug right now. That's Derek. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I find Tuesdays tougher than Mondays, but that's a whole different discussion that we will get into maybe at some point later in the show. But you know what is a cure for a case of the Mondays, Derek Gunn?
What would that be?
That would be Chris Franklin, who covers the Eagles for NJ.com and does an awesome job. Chris, I was saying this earlier, man. First of all, welcome to the show. We appreciate you hopping on. I got to give you props. You covered the charity softball game, dude, like it was Game 7 of the World Series. Like you were on that bad boy. I'm talking pictures, updates, TO, smokes one, like anything that went down. You were on it, my man. Props.
Thanks. I was trying to channel my inner Joe Buck there, trying to having people be there with you. I was waiting for the Kirk Gibson moment with somebody running around. It didn't happen, but it was all fun.
It was good, man. It was good. Well, give us your. Well, go ahead, Gunner. Yeah,
Chris, tell them when you lose that June mandatory mini camp, you got to get real creative.
There's got to be something to fill in a couple of those days. Yeah. Like, this works.
That game's got to last you another 6 weeks, man. So you got to get material out of it.
Strategic vacations placed in there, so you don't have to fill it in too.
Exactly, man. Well, first off, I know Fitness Rebel, one of our great subscribers who's always in the chat, doesn't know, which we love her. She was there. But so give us a little set the scene for us, man. I know T.O. won the MVP, right? But it was team Devontae against Jahan Dotson and his crew, correct?
Yeah, it was. It felt like the only team that was missing from the NFC East were the Cowboys. We had Saquon Barkley on the other side. Yeah, Chad Ochocinco, who was talking. He delivered some all-time lines, including with dating advice and everything else. McDonald's, which is just like, okay, what's going on? And then you had a lot of Eagles come together, and it felt like a training camp practice in a way. You kept hearing the "Fly Eagles Fly" and people chanting. It felt like 2004 in a way too, because you heard the T.O. song going on as well too. Overall, it was a pretty cool event, seeing everybody get together, and it helped the two charities, St. Luke's Charities and Iron Pigs Charities. So I think they benefited as well too. So it was fun.
Hey, that's awesome. Hey, Chris, did you guys have unlimited access to the players after the game? Because journalistically speaking, this is where you can get a lot of evergreen stories that can carry you for a couple of months with a collection of former and current players there. A lot of great storylines. A Saquon storyline, a Chad Ocho talking about wanting to play in Philly. Did you get a lot of access to these guys and get a lot of good stories out of it?
Yeah, he did. I started because last year I was like, okay, we didn't really get to see as much, so push the level like field access. All right, cool. So start pushing it a little bit more, and you got to see these guys like more relaxed and they were open and talking. So yeah, got chances. Anytime you can ask Terrell Owens, Chad Ochocinco, and Brandon Marshall about a wide receiver that's currently on the Eagles or the Eagles offense, it was great. Get to see some guys. May have snuck into one area that probably shouldn't have passed and allowed me to, but it helped out with the part of the story too. But yeah, overall it was decent access, and yeah, it helps out a lot for this upcoming season and getting some perspective.
I just think it's such a great it's a team bonding thing, but it's also in a setting where these guys can let their hair down a little bit and just have some fun with each other. And that, to me, that's worth the price of admission. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, when you saw guys like Darius Slay up to bat or another home run derby, you saw Kenneth Gainwell, DeAndre Swift, and all the other Eagles teammates. They're actually legit. They're up there on the field like cheering them on and looking around there. So you start to see. We hear Nick Sirianni talk about it so much when it comes to connection. Well, looks like they're practicing what they're preaching in a way, because they're there for support him and everybody else, and it was cool to see.
Who's got game, man? Who's got some game?
I gotta say, Jake Elliott as shortstop, pretty good. He was pretty good.
He's a legit athlete, man. The guy's a great tennis player too.
Wow.
Yeah. Dallas Goedert, legit. I remember last year when he won the home run derby, and last year I remember he hit one out into the bullpen in left field, and he was just mashing them left and right. So I think he's a good power hitter. If the Phillies continue to have some power issues, from the right side, maybe call Dallas Goedert. He might be interested a little bit. But yeah, I see those two guys, and Devontae himself, Jalen Hurts too. Jalen Hurts had a two-hitter going for about like 3-4 innings. So it was like he's got a future in softball if he wanted to. So they were good.
Chris, I love your story that you wrote about how Devontae's softball game helps teammates, charities, and recruiting. Can you give our chat and people watching the highlight of what the story entails and how beneficial it is across the board?
Definitely. I started the recruiting first. It already helped out because Terrell Edmonds pointed to that game as a reason why he signed with that went a long way for why he signed with the Eagles.
Wow.
I mean, he got to see from the other sideline like what was going on. He got to talk to some of the guys, and he even said like he admitted like he was going to recruit some of the guys there. So who knows? Maybe if one day we see Saquon, or they see somebody else, sign with them, you say, okay, well, there's a second person there. But I thought that was a key thing as well too, because I mean, we hear so much in the NBA about how these players need to recruit to try to get these super teams, what have you. You can get it on the football side with events like this. It helps out a lot. And then I think also when you look at the way that as we mentioned beforehand, the team building as well too, that was a big key factor as well too, and it raised money for charity. So the big thing I took away was the recruiting aspect of that. And hey, with that turnout, if they could see the fans that were out there in that atmosphere and getting to know some of those Eagles guys, maybe it helps out more in the long run.
Yeah, I know. I think Micah Parsons played in years past, right?
Maybe
a seed was planted there. Who knows? We'll see. Might be pushing that one a little bit. But I know you were also at OTAs this past week, and I get it. When we're talking about guys in shorts and all that, so you don't get too crazy. But I'll ask you something. We talked to some other folks as well who were there. Nolan Smith apparently just looks kind of different than maybe anticipated with the whole knock on him being so small. Everybody talked about how big the guy looked. Did you get that same sense? And how did he look out there?
He's quick, especially when he goes around. They were doing a couple of drills where just has to react. That you can see the quickness that's there, especially if you need to basically stretch out the run game. So I like that aspect of him too. I mean, he's not 260, muscular and everything else, but he's thin for his size and for the muscles that he has. He's going to be good. I like the way, and I hate using this so much when you hear like the draft time, but the bend and the reflex and everything, he really does bend quickly around there, getting around the edge. So it almost is looking like seeing Hassan Reddick out there when you see in that type of way for him to rush the passer. So I think that's what surprised me the most, I think, when it came to him.
I got to ask you about this Quez Watkins saga that's going to be lingering all the way through the season. He came out in the off season and basically said, bleep everybody, I'll show you. I'll prove you wrong. And then Sirianni went out of his way doing OTAs to sing his praises as well. I know it's a limited role. What have you seen from Quez? I'm assuming you've had a chance to talk to him. Do you notice a change in his demeanor, his confidence, attitude, or is it still a wait and see issue with him?
I think it's wait and see. We didn't get a chance to. I thought we would, especially after that, we didn't get a chance to talk to him.
Yeah.
But you can see he's really when he's running with, it seems like even more of a purpose when he's running his routes. And granted, I know his OTAs, he's going against sometimes the third, fourth string cornerback just to give him a look. I think the one time, it was apropos the one time, right after that, we were watching OTAs, he got a deep ball thrown to him in Thursday practice, and it went through his hands. But so it was like he built up, and then that happened. But at the same time, you saw what he was doing the previous week, and he looks. When I see his route running, it looks crisper. He looks like he's getting quicker out of his breaks, and that's what you need him to do. I mean, you basically need him to stretch the field a lot, and you're going to have to test him the 50-50 balls downfield. And if he catches about 50% of them, 55% of them, you're doing it purpose because it just opens up so much even more stuff down underneath. So I look at him. I think he does look a little. There's something in his eye that you see, you can tell, he wants to shut everybody up around here, especially around here as well too. So
I guess, Chris, my question is it really a competition with, say, like him and Zacchaeus, because they're very different players, right? I mean, so there isn't, right? I mean, he's safe. Would you agree that Quez is safe?
I think I think 5 of the wide receiver spots are safe, and he's included with them. Him and Olamide are included because to me, Olamide reminds me of Jason Avant in the way that he's going to be a crisp route runner. If you need to get to the sticks, he's going to be there and try to open around. He's not as tall as him, but he feels that one. You need Quez for that spacing. You really do, because if not, you have Devontae and AJ that are quick and speed in their own way, but you don't have 4.3 type speed that is on his roster right now. When you look at it, especially the slot, so you need him to do it. And I think when you look at that, they need a backup punt returner. I know everybody's a little hesitant when it comes to that. They need a back kick returner. He adds to that section as well too. So they need his offense. I think he's safe.
Do you think Howie? Would you put it past Howie to be out there looking at another wide receiver possibility, knowing what we know about Howie?
If it became a trade for trade, if it's towards the end of training camp and something were to happen, like injury wise, I can see that happening. I think they're going to try to give every chance they can to this guy. I really truly believe it. Like in homegrown, he knows the system and everything else. Unless there's somebody who's really, really affordable, almost in the same situation where change of scenery that they think could fit in the system, maybe. But I don't even think that would be it unless it happened right before the cut down date.
Chris, if there's a guy who's somewhat under the radar, but you feel like could be a bust out once camp comes, whether it's a later pick, an undrafted free agent, a guy who was here last year, whatever, who would you say it would be?
See, I know everybody's talking about, and so including Christian Ellis was doing really well. I mean, it's his way of flowing. They had him on the weak side, playing the will linebacker. He's a guy. I look at him a little bit. I think I know it sounds we saw him. I think Kenneth Gainwell. I really think he could be a guy that could really do it. I know a lot of the attention is going to be on Swift and Penny as well too, but I look at the strides he's made. Especially for a kid, because I started questioning myself in the middle of the season. Like, I'm still waiting to see Naeem Hines coming on the field. But when you start to see the playoff run and you start to see a build of that, I think he can play a bigger role in this offense, especially if they start throwing to the running backs a lot more, which looks like they're going to do. So I think he's a guy where you start thinking like, well, maybe he could be in that conversation of 1B eventually when all said and done.
Okay.
From your perspective and maybe from your conversations with Gainwell, how is he handling the situation? Because back in March, we were all talking about him being the lead back in 2023. All of a sudden, he could very easily be the number 3 back in the system.
Yeah, he's taking it as a competition, almost similar to Quez. He's taking it as he's taking it as a proven thing. Like I'm trying to prove that I'm ready to be that guy. I mean, I think we saw the reaction when Miles was gone. And they signed Penny and everything else. We saw that tweet in there. It's like, oh, this doesn't sound too good. But you start to see like the way he's focused, the way he's another guy who's coming in and he's running hard, or another guy who's getting in there and can be a factor in that flight, especially I think on those outside stretch runs. I look at that and I'm thinking like, all right, you see that, you hear the way he's talking, and that's why I'm thinking like that's what I'm starting to think like more and more a little bit. He can be that guy's like, all right, cool. That's an even upgrade of a weapon that you had before last year too.
How about safety, Chris? I mean, I think, Reed obviously has a bit of a leg up. He was here last year and knows the system pretty well. But Sidney Brown's in the mix, from what we're hearing. Are we a little too hyped on that, do you think? Like, are they in pretty good shape there with Edmonds and Blankenship in your estimation?
I think we'll see a lot of Brown on the field too. I think we'll see a lot of 3 safety looks. And I think looking at that one, we saw the ones, you saw Edmonds and Blankenship starting out there. When you look at Brown, safety is going to be tough to play. I think it's one of the tougher spots to play, especially as a rookie, especially in linebacker, especially when you talk about Jim Schwartz. But I think overall in the league, because so many moving parts, especially on the inside, trying to get that stuff. But I think they're going to try to give him every chance to step in there and do that. Like when you look at the raw ability that he has and that instinct to try to be a ball hawk, to know when to time the jump routes. When you see that, and we saw that in Illinois, that I think that fits well for what this defense wants to accomplish and the way this system it looks like it's going to be aligned up to be. So I think he's going to see the field a lot. I think it's going to be some growing pains early on those first couple of games, but as the season progresses, you see him more and more. You'll see him in those 3 safety looks, and he'll have a lot of time here.
I think Lane Johnson said something very interesting during the OTA. He said, hey, don't count out Tyler Steen at right guard yet. Don't count him out. People keep thinking it's Cam Jurgens' job to win or lose, but and Lane had referred to his offensive lineman last year as Jurassic Park, considering how big these dudes were. Tyler Steen ain't no little dude, man. And I mean, have you been hearing some of the same things about, hey, this kid Tyler Steen may be your starting right guard?
I think they're going to give him every chance they can. I think it's going to be between right guard, safety. I think those are 2 things you'll see. I think Jurgens has the end right now because of his familiarity. He knows what's expected of him. Steen, I think, is with his size, I think it's a better fit. He's a little bit bigger in there, and you worry a little bit at times. When you see Cam, he's not the biggest guy. You get an Aaron Donald, an Aaron Donald type guy in the middle of there, trying to basically them lining him right directly over him, saying, "Oh, I see who I'm going to go. I'm not going against Dickerson. I know I can get that power on him." So, I think Jurgens is going to walk in. I think when camp is over, I think Jurgens is going to walk in, but I think Steen, looked on from what I've heard, what I've seen about him, look at like his raw physical tools, he's going to have a good future with this team on the offensive line.
I want to ask you more about sort of approach than X and O here with this, Chris. When it comes to Nick Sirianni, has he or have you gotten that vibe from any of the players or the staff that, hey, look, we're aware that it can be what a challenge it could be getting back to the Super Bowl, getting back to, after you lose, especially, but teams that get there, it's generally not the same kind of season the next year for whatever reason. Are they aware of that? Is that addressed? Is that like an elephant in the room, or is that just, hey, man, if we stay focused on the task at hand, we're going to be fine?
I think they're trying to put it behind. I think most of the guys are trying to put the Super Bowl behind them. They're trying to look toward the future. They're already starting to worry about 2023. I mean, it doesn't help getting the NFC Championship rings.
Last week, right?
Go that one too. Yeah. So like, hey guys, we want to move forward. Oh, by the way, here's your rings. Oh, thanks.
Maybe this is why you do it so early, right? Aren't you better off doing it now, though?
Yeah, because if you're doing during training camp and then everything's unfurled and everything else, and they're not. We know they're not going to probably do a banner unfurl for NFC champions. To me, that would be like doing what the Colts did for AFC participants. For they lost AFC. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't make a big deal about that. So sneaking in the middle, it could be motivation going in the offseason. Hey, you know what? You see this ring you got? It's a decent accomplishment, but you didn't get the Super Bowl ring. Take this into the offseason, do this workout, keep this in mind, and go from there. But yeah, they're trying to move on. It seems like as quickly as possible from that result and trying to make a new run and hopefully this time getting the Super Bowl ring this year.
At this time of year, so cloak and dagger, and obviously you guys haven't had a lot of access to Sean Desai, but from your best guess perspective, what kind of scheme do you think we're looking at here? Obviously, we're not even going to know in the preseason because everything's so vanilla, but maybe from people you've talked to or just listening to him on those rare instances you guys have had access to him. What do you think we're looking at here with all this youth and veteran personnel on that side of the ball?
If you guys love Jonathan Gannon's scheme, I think you'll see a lot of the same, but a little bit with his more tweaks. Yep.
Oh, you're going to lose Gunner for the rest of the show, Chris.
Sorry, man. I'm sorry. Hey, you're looking at the Fangio scheme, and the surprising thing was looking back at the percentage of times that Desai blitz went at Chicago Bears. The last time I checked, I believe it was just a few percentage points behind what Gannon did. Gannon blitzed a little bit, like 2% more or something like that. If I believe I got to remember that one, but I think that was the case on that one too. So you won't see a lot of blitzings, a lot of relying on a defensive line to get up there, a lot of cover 2, cover 3, sometimes cover 4, and just say, hey, you know what? We're not going to let you beat. We're not going to get beat deep. We're going to make you dink and dunk this all the way, and we're going to rely on the speed of your secondary to go ahead and just cover there and limit the yards after catch too. So get more same in that aspect. I can see a couple wrinkles. Maybe when it comes in terms of stunts, maybe he does a couple more. I think you may see a couple more double A gap blitzes. Maybe, but yeah, and that's just cleaning off of somewhat.
That again,
maybe. Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's what they believe organizationally. That's part of the reason why Desai's hired. Frankly, even if they elevated Denard Wilson, it would still be the same approach in a lot of ways, right, Chris? Because that's what Howie and that's what the higher ups believe. Correct?
A lot of times, especially with that Fangio scheme, there's a lot of don't want to put yourself out of position, just trying to get extra pressure on the quarterback so you get burnt deep and giving extra, basically having to march down the field and giving somebody a quick score. So yeah, it's gonna whoever I think they were going to look for that one. And we've heard Nick say this before. This whole team has his fingerprints on it no matter what. And his belief is, hey, make the defense march down the field quickly and let the defensive line try to get after you. So that's why I think you'll see a lot earlier that offense trying to score quickly, score a lot, and then letting the defense pin their ears back and then minimizing the damage by not letting anything deep go behind them.
Here's what I was told when people have been asking, and especially Rob, why haven't they brought this guy in Ariza to try out as a punter? And what I was told was, well, you still have Rob's favorite guy, Sippos, there. And they have this undrafted rookie that they really like. They believe he has a strong leg. What do you think the chances are? And I want to look at Rob's face when you answer this question. What do you think the chances are Sippos could be a punter again this year?
Rob, I hate to do this on. It might be an audio issue coming on your end. This is clear. The channel is coming as clear as I possibly can. I think you'll see Aaron Sippos holding for Jake Elliott. I think you'll see Aaron Sippos punting for a time.
See you guys later. Chris, come on, man. We can't do better than this. Like, there isn't anybody. I know Kern wasn't good either when he came here. I understand that. I'm not looking for some has-been, with all due respect to him, but we can't do better than Aaron Sippos here with this team.
It's right now they really like what he brings, and here's the thing that I've seen with him. Like we'll look at here, it will be tantalizing because you'll see the net yards, you see the hang time, and then December rolls around, and then
yes,
right. So I mean, I remember 2 years ago you said he went back to Australia to punt near the winds of the coastline to get used to it. Maybe it's a fine new spot to do that, but right now, yeah, Zettner, and I'll say this because be fair to Zettner, because it was only one day we saw them punting. It was only one, but Sippos was getting 5 seconds hang time, high fours, and Zettner was a couple that shanked all three.
Closely,
and I'll say that was just one day. But.
Listen, Rob, listen to what Chris is saying.
Was this your revenge on me because the size defense is going to look the same as Jack? Is that what this was? I mean, I was doing all right on this Monday. You had to bring Sippos up?
He showed some fight when he was getting carted off against the Giants, going against the fans.
That actually was a really nice play he made. I'm not even kidding you, man. It was like crazy athletic. It was a nice play.
He's taking touchdown, but get used to the Coy Detmer number being on him for the rest of the season, I think.
Oh, well, you didn't go Coy Detmer. You didn't go there.
Yeah. Hey, he's one of my favorite. I'm going to throw myself under the bus on that once. But when watching this team when I was younger, Coy was my guy. With the neck beard, the toothbrush, and the playbook going around. I'm like, oh wow, they can get him and Ricky Williams to be good. Ooh, that was awful.
All right. One of the other things that I thought was fascinating you did last week was because we've seen this bite other teams and bite other guys. The gambling thing's a fine line that these guys have to walk because we know how prevalent it is in sports, period, but the NFL too. And some guys haven't quite figured out, where that line is. So what are the Eagles doing to educate their guys so they don't get, nailed like some of these other players have?
It seems like they're taking it upon themselves because I reached out to NFL. I still haven't heard back from them. I reached out to the NFLPA and they declined to comment on that. But a lot of the education things, from what it sounds like, a lot of guys are better understanding what's allowed now. And that's why I think may have bit Detroit. And the Lions, they thought like, oh, well, I'm not betting on football, but you're still doing it in the facility. Too bad. Can't do it. It's like, basically they're talking, and what a lot of the guys are saying is they're just like, don't take part in it at all, to not even get caught up in it, because last thing you need this team to do, especially with the Super Bowl aspirations, making a deep playoff run, is to get better, like 6 games to one of the main players. Say if Devontae, say if Dallas, say if Jalen, whatever, what have you, they do it. But they say one of those guys missed 6 games, that's probably costing you the 1 seed, maybe knock you all the way down to the 5 seed. So they know what's going on with this, trying to tell them, say, stay away from this. This is what, if you do it, really like you doing, but if you do it, stay as far as away, go another state, something like that, for stay far away from this facility to do it, and don't bet on the Eagles, whatever. So it's I wish the league was doing. You kind of read between the lines, like if the league and NFLPA were trying to do more to educate us, like earlier, maybe some of the stuff wouldn't happen.
Right.
I don't think you have to look any farther, especially today's players, at what happened to Calvin Ridley, who basically got a 1-year death sentence for gambling. And I think it comes down to this, because I've covered this game for over 4 decades. You have a contingent of players who think they are above and beyond the law and who are slick, who think they have enough people surrounding them to shield them. And I think as visible as this topic has become now, I hate to say it, I think you're going to have more players down the road that are going to get caught for doing the same thing. You just have some players who are not going to listen no matter what. And it's unfortunate because it's going to be a player or a scenario where it may cost you a pivotal game in terms of positioning or playoff position altogether.
And it's funny you mentioned Calvin Ridley. Just think about that. They had that deal, that him getting suspended cost the Eagles from acquiring him. And then who knows what would have happened if the Eagles did. You probably wouldn't have A.J. Brown. The domino effect. Like Calvin Ridley, who knows? Maybe Calvin Ridley did as well he can. It probably cost him dollars, not only for regular contract, endorsement deals and everything else, because this team would have been going far. So in the end, it's not to risk, try to get an extra $500,000, $2,000 to risk your whole entire game checks and season contracts, stuff like that. To me, it's not worth it. But some of these guys just need the thrill of something. So.
Well, I'm reading the story on the the Colts guy who just got in, and that looks like it's going to be serious because apparently he was betting on Colts games, which is, you talk about this. That's a death sentence. But apparently he's betting like $25, $50. And I get he wasn't making crazy money, but still, like, dude, really? Is that worth it? I don't know, man.
I don't get it. It's like, and then how many times it was probably like, I was going to try. I just want to know what he tried to bet on. Like, probably like, I was trying to hit. So like, you really wanted to risk all that stuff just to try to get, here's $200. Congratulations. Oh yeah, by the way, you don't have a job probably because you got cut.
It's not worth it. Man. Not worth it. Chris, last one from me. Looking at the NFC East, I'm assuming you go Eagles first, but what's your pecking order? Like, who's 2, who's 3, who's 4 right now?
I think right now I got the Cowboys going right now. I think it's going to come down to a tiebreaker for that 1 seed. It's going to be like less like I think the Eagles will be on the 1 side, and then the 5. I think Cowboys will be 5. I know this sounds crazy, but I think the Commanders are going to be a 3 and finish third because I look at all the pieces around. Yeah, Eric, you got a competent offensive coordinator. You have all those pieces on deep, especially that defensive line, and you have those wide receivers with Dotson, McLaurin. I just look at all those pieces around there. I know Howell's unproven, but if he's even just a game manager, I think that team could be real decent. I think it'd be maybe sneaking into 7. I think they're that good with their roster. I think the Giants finished last. I look around. I think Daniel Jones overperformed last season. I know Brian Dable does help out a lot. I mean, you see what the decisions that Josh Allen made last year when Dable wasn't there when it came to turning the ball over. I look at the Giants now. I see everything else they have. I'm just like, and in this division, I think the Giants finished in last place. Probably like something. And the crazy thing, it'd probably be like something like 7-9.
Interesting.
Like
so Washington ahead of them.
Yeah, that's what I have them there.
I mean, I know Washington is touting a help, but and I've said this a number of times. I think Washington is in better hands if they put Jacoby Brissett in there. I mean, he's not a world beater, but he can win you some games. And as you just talked about, the wealth of talent they have on both sides of the football. If I'm that team, especially we've been down for so long, I want the best opportunity to do some damage and get some respect. And I think Brissett, with just his veteran presence, would give him that.
Yeah. I mean, just all they need to do is, if Washington scores 20, 23 points a game, I think they can win a lot of games. I really think so. I think you can do that with that offense that they have and that defense basically putting pressure. If they copied the same formula the Eagles use, getting up early, using the pass rush to force the issue in the second half, and we've seen them do it before, and then we know that run game can be efficient enough when they get it, they can be good. So it's going to be a tough out going against them, I think, for Eagles this year.
Yeah, that's it's a tough division, man. There's some good divisions. The NFC East, the AFC East. We were talking about this. The AFC North is nasty. There's some really good divisions this year for sure.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the NFC South, like, guys, please relate, help us out. Creamsicles are coming back. Make us relevant again. NFC South, go back.
Just watch Atlanta. I'm telling you right now, they're going to be dangerous, I think. All right, Chris, great stuff, man. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate you, man.
Tell everybody to follow Chris on Twitter at @CFranklinNews. Chris, thanks for a couple minutes, man. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Y'all have a good one now.
All right, man. That is Chris Franklin from NJ.com. Interesting, Gunner. Giants in last place. I thought that was most people would go Washington. Most. But it's not crazy because I think those bottom 2 could be either way, man.
I agree. I think Washington has a little bit more talent. Especially in the skill position on offense. I give the Giants the running back and the quarterback, but in terms of line, wide receivers, the depth at the running back position, I think, is better than Washington. I think obviously the Giants have the better feature back, although Saquon looked like Saquon of old last year. He's still not the Saquon of his rookie campaign, coming off that type of knee injury that he had. My biggest question mark is what Dabo did with Daniel Jones in year 1. Was it a fluke, or is this exactly what Dabo did with Josh Allen? We saw him do it in year 1, making Daniel Jones a steadier player, a player who does not turn the football over, and that equated in the Giants finding a way to slip into the playoffs. With Washington, the only big question mark is who's quarterbacking the team. Plain and simple. We don't know anything about this Howell kid at this level. We know Brissett is a serviceable backup who can win you a few games. How does Washington perceive it in terms of who's the right man to lead them in the battle this season. That's gonna say a lot.
No, I agree. NFL Network or NFL Game Day put out an interesting tweet. So, which is not super surprising, I guess, but with Saquon, they were 3 points better than without him last year. They averaged about 20 per game since 2018. So going back that far, as a team, he's going to be a key to this whole thing. This is one of the reasons why we have Pat Leonard coming on at 2:00 from the New York Daily News, because if that thing blows up or there's hard feelings or he just plays on the tag, and potentially could be leaving, that's a big deal because, look, let's be honest. Daniel Jones had a nice year for them. Take nothing away from him, but he needs really strong complementary pieces around him. I think he's that kind of quarterback. So if they end up losing Saquon, that would be a really big deal for that team.
Every year we hear one or two players who are disgruntled about the franchise tag, don't show up for voluntaries, don't show up for mandatories, and come out with a statement saying, I don't know if I'm going to play this year. I may have to sit out. And then all of a sudden things are rectified. The Giants' biggest issue is, how do you financially structure this? And the reason I say that is I saw an interesting from Andrew. No, it wasn't Andrew. It was, let's see here. Saw a quote on Twitter said the Giants currently have 5 players who are in the conversation to be top 3 players at their positions.
Right.
Okay. You have Saquon, obviously. You have the left tackle, Andrew Thomas. You have Dexter Lawrence. We know what he is. Daniel Jones, I think, is a stretch. But then you have Darren Waller tight end. That's a very feasible possibility as well. Mm-hmm. Well, when these players emerge as your top players in the league in positions or among them, you also got to find a way to pay them down the road. Now, right now, you have them under contract, except Saquon says, I'm not playing under that franchise tag. If the Giants are like every other team, eventually they will find a way to get this done. Now, Saquon has said, so basically Saquon has put it in the Giants' court. He has said, I'm not looking to be the highest paid player at my position. I'm not looking to set historic records. I want to be compensated fairly for what I contribute to this team. Okay, so now the onus is on the Giants to get something done, and you have until mid-July to make that happen. I don't think the Giants want to go into a season without Saquon Barkley in that backfield. I don't.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think in some ways, look, he's tried to keep it on, between them, and he's pretty aware of what's happening with the Giants in terms of leaking stuff. He's ticked off. And I think this is a really smart play by him to sort of throw it back in their court. So what he said was, I'm not looking to reset the market. You never heard that come from me. I'm looking to get paid, fairly and all that. So I think he's taken a really smart approach, which I'm not surprised. He's a classy guy. Saquon is. All right, let's get a timeout here, Gunner. Again, 2:00. Pat Leonard will be joining us. We'll talk a lot of NFL. We're going to go through our top 5 rookies from the 2022 class in the NFL. We'll come back. We'll get a little bit more on the Phillies, who took 2 out of 3 over the weekend against the LA Dodgers. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because let's face it, it's a challenge to find the right person that you trust with your hard-earned money, okay? You don't want to just turn it over to anybody. You got to make sure it's in the right hands, because your future is everything. Whether it's yourself, your family, whatever the case may be. I went through a lot of different people that I really, quite frankly, wasn't satisfied with. And Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group have been absolutely phenomenal for me and my family, whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. You might have a small business and you're trying to get your employee benefits off the ground. That's another resource that Jim can help you with. I personally entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollovers with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be as well. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751, or you can email him, Murray, MURRAY, .jim@principal.com. That's Murray.jim@principal.com.